The dragon had been captured 3 months ago, and in that time, every professional trainer in the collective had failed. The creature was magnificent and terrible, scales of deep crimson that seemed to absorb light, wings that could span a landing platform, and intelligence that burned in its amber eyes like a contained inferno. The Krell had brought it to Station's sanctuary with intentions of domestication. Dragons were powerful allies, valuable assets. Breaking one would demonstrate dominance over the galaxy's most primal force. But this dragon refused to be broken. It had incinerated the Krell's lead trainer on the second day. The Drell Collective's psychological manipulation techniques had only made it angrier. Even the Teln's legendary mystical connection with living beings had failed. The dragon had simply chosen not to listen. Every attempt to subdue it through force, manipulation, or mysticism resulted in destruction and near death. The stable boy had been hired for simple work: cleaning the containment chamber, bringing water, removing waste. His name was Daniel, and he was human, the first of his species to work on the station's animal grounds. The other staff considered him little more than muscle, useful for menial labor, but incapable of understanding the complexities of exotic creature management. Daniel didn't see it that way. On his fourth day, he approached the dragon's enclosure during the evening shift when no trainers were present. The beast was pacing, agitated, its scales flickering with barely contained fire. It had refused to eat all day. "Hey," Daniel said quietly, leaning against the containment field. "You doing okay?" The dragon's head snapped toward him. Its eyes narrowed, assessing the small, soft creature who dared speak. "I know this isn't what you wanted," Daniel continued, his voice calm and unhurried. "They caught you, brought you here, tried to force you into things. That's rough." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I'm not going to pretend I understand what you're going through. But I recognize that look. I've seen it in animals on my world, creatures that refuse to be domesticated because nobody bothered asking why they might want to cooperate." The dragon huffed, a plume of smoke curling from its nostrils. "Everyone who's come before me tried to make you obey," Daniel said. "They use pain, dominance, tricks. But you're not the kind of creature that responds to that, are you? You're too intelligent, too proud." He leaned closer to the field. "So, I'm asking something different. Would you let me help you?" "The boy is wasting time," a Krell officer muttered to his colleague, but something in Daniel's calm demeanor made them stay quiet. Every day, for 2 weeks, Daniel came to the enclosure and talked. He talked about his homeworld, about animals he'd known, about the nature of trust and cooperation. He never demanded anything. He never threatened. He simply spoke. On the 15th day, he placed his hand against the containment field. "I'm going to lower this barrier," he said, "not to force you to do anything, just because I think you deserve the choice. If you want to incinerate me, that's your right. But I'm betting you're tired of being treated like a problem to solve." "Absolutely not," the Krell commander protested, but Daniel had already input the override code he'd learned weeks ago. The barrier dissolved. For a long moment, nothing happened. The dragon stared at the small human who had just surrendered all leverage. Then, with a movement that was surprisingly gentle for such a massive creature, it lowered its head. Daniel reached out and pressed his palm against the dragon's snout. The scales were warm, almost feverish, and they trembled slightly beneath his touch. "Thank you," Daniel whispered. Over the following months, something unprecedented happened. The dragon became cooperative, not broken, but choosing to work with its handlers. It would allow saddles and riders, would follow commands, would participate in exhibitions, but only with Daniel present. With him, the dragon was docile, even playful. The other trainers studied his methods obsessively, but they couldn't replicate what he did. They lacked the crucial element. Daniel saw the dragon not as a problem to overcome, but as a being worthy of respect and choice. One evening, Commander Kale observed Daniel grooming the dragon, the creature's enormous head resting gently on the boy's shoulder. "How did you do what no one else could?" the commander asked. Daniel shrugged, continuing to brush the dragon's scales. "Humans have spent our entire evolutionary history learning to cooperate with other species. Dogs, horses, birds. We learned that the best relationships aren't built on dominance. They're built on trust." He looked at the dragon's content expression. Most species see submission as victory. We learned its partnership. The dragon rumbled softly, a sound almost like purring. In that moment, the collective realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't physical prowess or intellectual superiority. It was an ancient, simple wisdom. Sometimes the most powerful thing you could do was simply ask nicely and mean it.